What's going on? I am Michael. This is Unconventional Thought. And I had a few thoughts earlier today. I was thinking about the fact that I've been around this planet like a number of decades now, and I do not remember a lot of average everyday 9 to 5 working blue collar people talking about politics all day. It just, of course, there were people who talked about it, but most regular people were either, when they're in their car or at home, they're listening to music, watching sports, or entertainment. You didn't have a whole lot of talk about politics. Of course, like I said, there were people talking about it, but those were usually like businessmen and women, people who are like elected officials or people who are involved in politics at the grass level or connected to someone who was, and they had some kind of interest in these topics. Or, of course, when there are some issues that directly affected people and their loved ones, or there was something major that was going on in the country or in the world, then people might sit around talking about it. But I think there are two main reasons why there's this switch. Or all of a sudden now, all you hear is politics all day and night. And it's like this rabbit hole that people fall into, and it's all day politics. I think one is because of these 24-hour so-called news channels, which are, of course, are not actually news channels, they're commentary channels. But I think that pretty much started it, where we were just bombarded with just these different news stories about policy and policymakers here in America and all over the world. And of course, I'm talking about, I'm from America. That's what I'm talking about here. The way things have changed over the years here in America. So that kind of got the ball rolling with people talking about these subjects all the time. And then you have the internet and influencers, and these people will listen to these 24-hour news channels all day, and then they will start to make videos about these same topics. And now that's just starting to make more and more people focus on these topics. This is definitely not the kind of thing that younger people like high school, college, in the 20s would even be talking about for the most part. Like I said, they're listening to music, sports, entertainment. But now it's constantly discussed, and there are people who just seem to be almost just obsessed with it. It's kind of strange. The other reason that I think that we hear so much of it is because it makes people feel smart. Like, I believe that most of us have no clue. Most of us have no idea what the hell we're doing out here. We learn most of what we learn from our environment. Most of the stuff we're not figuring out. And we have so many things that we're thinking about every day. We don't really focus on it. We just kind of want to focus on the things like our bills and our immediate relationships. And, then we want to kind of escape and relax our mind. That's when we get into music and sports and entertainment. But I believe when most people tune into these things, it makes them feel informed. It makes them feel more intelligent. It makes them feel like they have a grip on what's going on, like they're in control of their life and can make a change by being informed. And then when someone talks about this in an open forum, like at work or online, they can kind of chime in with, well, no, what's actually happening in the Gaza Strip is blah, blah, blah. And it could be completely wrong and biased, but it makes us feel like we have a clue what the hell is going on. It makes us feel smarter. I remember like there was this line in the Titanic when Jack was trying to hang out with all the big dogs. And then after the dinner, they turned to him and said,
"Joining us, Dawson?" Well, you don't want to stay out here with the women, do you?
No, thanks. I've got to be heading back.
Probably best. It'll be business and politics, that sort of thing. Wouldn't interest you.
We're basically going to be talking about business and politics. Nothing that would interest someone like you. That's more like how things were. Just not that, just people who were like homeless like Jack was. But I'm saying that's more accurate of the way things were. What really made me think of this is because I remember being in the car with my dad, and when I was a little kid, and he would listen to music a lot of the times, or we would just be having discussions, mostly him and my mom are talking about something, or we're listening to music. But a lot of the times he would turn on these talk radio stations, and I had no interest in that. I didn't understand why he wanted to listen to this. And later on, when I was like in my 20s, I remember checking the radio and coming across one of these stations and kind of pausing for a minute and listening. And I don't remember what the hell they were talking about, but I felt like I was smart. I felt intelligent, like, yeah, I'm listening to talk radio. I'm not like these other riffraff over here with their music blaring. Even though I had 12-inch woofers in the back, I'm listening to talk radio, thinking it's making me smart. And really, I could have, improved my knowledge by listening to this and engaging in these types of conversations. But I think I got that sense, I got that feeling just from that minute of listening to this talk radio until I finally turned it off and put it back on music, which is what I really want to hear. I was just kind of faking the funk, which is what a lot of people do now. I think they just want to feel informed and smart and want to be able to chime into these conversations that are happening all over the place. And I remember doing this a few times, like later on, every once in a blue moon, I would come by one of these channels and kind of stop to kind of make myself feel like, okay, I know what I'm talking about. Especially when I learned a little bit about something I knew nothing about, and it came up, like I'd be waiting for it to come up in a conversation somewhere randomly, and I could just kind of, blah 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 blah, spew the little crap that I heard on talk radio, and then I feel like, yeah, I'm part of this conversation, this more intelligent conversation beyond sports and entertainment, and I'm contributing, and I know what I'm talking about, and I'm smart. I think this is a part of the reason, the fact that we are bombarded with it from these 24-hour news channels and influencers, and two, because it makes us feel smart and informed. That's just something I was thinking about. I was going to talk more about how most of us have no clue. We had no kind of rule book or some guidelines to follow for life, or we don't really know what the hell's going on. Anyway, it's just something I was thinking about. Michael, only human, and I'm out.